Okay, welcome to my Cash Flow Academy. My name is Athena Paquette-Cormier, and I'm the founder. And I'm here with Gloria Riechers from Riechers Engineering. Hi, Gloria. Welcome back. It's
Again,
so
good to
awesome.
be back.
Yeah, so we decided to do a follow-up to our first conversation that was about lot splitting and SB9 and SB10 and all that kind of thing. And we thought it would be really great to do a case study based on a real property and what the potential could be on the lot splitting, whether you decide to, just split the lot and have it for a legacy for another generation to use, or if you actually now you can actually sell off that newly created lot. So whether whatever you decide to do is not so important as the logistics, the nuts and bolts, like how does this actually work to split the lot. And we're going to use my home as an example, or as the guinea pig, if you will, for the case study, and see what the potential is. And if you have any questions at the end, Gloria will give you her contact information if you want to explore the potential of your property. And just for everybody listening, this is actually for the state of California. If you can, in case you're in another state and think, oh boy, no. So why don't we move forward, Gloria? Welcome back. Thanks for doing this for us.
Yeah, thanks so much, Athena. It's great to see you again and excited to talk to you about your specific property. And I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are as we move through this.
Okay, great.
Let me go ahead and share my screen.
And I'm just going to cut off my video because I think my editor guy said it's better when there's not so much video going on when you're sharing screens. So I'm going to do that.
And can you see this all right?
I can.
Perfect. All right, so we'll be looking at your home in Torrance today. And you already know quite a bit about my dad and I.
Well, why don't you just share briefly kind of who your dad is, Riechers Engineering, kind of what and how you guys got into this, just briefly, so in case the people watching didn't see the first video interview.
Of course, yeah. So my dad and I work together, and his name's Peter. He's been a civil engineer for 45 years, was actually retired, sold his civil engineering company, and then he learned about Senate Bill 9, which is California state law, which came to be about 2 years ago. And with his specific experience and passion, he was so excited to hear about Senate Bill 9 and the opportunity that it unlocks for homeowners in California. So he was just like super eager beaver and asked for my help with some research. So before we knew it, we started working together. And now we have an engineering firm, and all we do are lot splits, specifically SB9 lot splits. That's all we do. And I feel like the word is just starting to get out. At the beginning, people were like, SB9, what is that? And now we're noticing that more and more people are getting familiar with it and starting to really see what the potential is here and getting excited about, what kind of opportunities and wealth and options this can unlock for themselves and their family and for generations to come, potentially.
Yeah, that's really amazing. So I'm reading here this bio page or introduction page. It says you've done 80 lot splits already or underway. 80 projects are underway already.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost 3 years now, right? I think, was this 2021
Yeah, 2021.
So, yeah, okay. But still, 80 projects in like that short of time. That's amazing.
Yeah, we've been busy.
And you're all over California, right? Because I think, are you in the wine country area, or where are you?
Yeah, we're based in Napa.
Okay.
And we have projects all over from Sonoma County, Napa County, a lot in the Bay Area, San Diego, Santa Barbara, LA. So we really
all over.
Yeah, and just so people are aware, SB9 only applies in California, and it only applies in urban areas. So again, if you're interested about this, you can definitely talk to me, and we'll do a free eligibility analysis to see if your property meets the criteria.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Athena, you're lucky enough to be eligible for this, and I'm so excited that It just lined up that podcast about this kind of
I
stuff.
know, right? Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I was excited to interview you guys or you for the nuts and bolts of the learning part, but I think it's important to see how does it actually work with a real example, right? So
Yeah.
I'm so glad you were able to do this for us.
Yeah, me too. So, yeah, essentially, our mission is to create value for our clients, to create options. There's more people in California now, more by the day. And so, this creates options for people to buy land that's more affordable. It creates option for more housing. It gives, if people want to have an inheritance, maybe they have multiple kids, instead of having one real estate asset to give as an inheritance, now you can have two properties, or you can have multiple residences. So we're really passionate about just all the options and wealth that it creates for our communities. And I can give a little background. Well, I guess I already gave a bit of a
If you
background.
could give a background of what SB9 is and who, just kind of so people.
Yeah, so SB9 was an answer, or intending to be an answer to the housing crisis in California. The idea is if you have some vacant land on your property, you should be able to build on it if you want to. You should be able to create another property if you want to. And so essentially it does away with single family zoning rules and minimum lot size. So typically minimum lot size prevents people from doing a lot split and creating another property. So with this new law, it's a ministerial process, which means that it's kind of streamlined. If you meet X, Y, Z criteria, then we're able to submit your application, and yeah, you're able to have another real estate asset, and you can develop up to 4 residences on the property. So yeah, it's unlocking a whole lot of potential here in California.
That's amazing. So up to 4.
Up to 4 homes, yeah.
On a residential. So if it's R1, it still could be up to 4.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as long as this applies for single family residential only. Mm-hmm. And the minimum lot size essentially out the window now. So we have some projects that are actually really small parcels, but if it's in a valuable area, it can be worth it.
Yeah. I mean, if the property value is high.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
If property's value is high, it can still definitely make financial sense. Mm-hmm. So my team did research on your property, Athena. These are all the different criteria that we check for to see if a property qualifies. So it must be within an urban area or cluster. It has to be single family residential zoning. There must be at least 40% open space, or some people have 2 homes on their property and no vacant space, and that still works because you can just divide the property and have 2 homes.
Oh, like if there's already 2 homes, you're just splitting the lot. There's no intention to build.
Right. Yeah. So you don't always.
So just to give people an example, my home is 1,500 square feet, approximately. And the lot's 23,000 square feet, but the flat part of the lot is about 12,000. So that's still good, right?
Right. Yeah, and we'll talk about that, the slope and everything. Okay. The access is no problem. We'll also talk about that when we have the map. You're not within the very high fire zone or the flood zone or wetlands area, critical habitat area. We'll likely need to do a biology and wetlands report as part of the project. Yeah, it kind of depends on the jurisdiction and the project.
And what are they looking for? Maybe you're going to get to that. If you're going to get to it, it's fine.
I can jump into it now. They're just making sure that there's not habitat for critical species, because they don't want people to be developing on environmentally sensitive areas.
So the raccoons and the raccoons and the possums count, or?
I don't think that counts.
How about those little guys that pop up from the dirt? What do they call those?
Gophers?
Yeah, are they protected?
I don't think so.
Okay, just because those that's the menagerie. Oh, and skunks. I got skunks too.
Oh no, they'll find.
That's the menagerie I got going on here.
That's quite a bit of diversity.
Yeah, it is. Yep.
Yeah, so for your property, it's not an issue, I can already tell, but they still might require it.
Uh-huh.
Then also we look at utilities. Is there public sewer? Or if you're on septic, is there enough space to have a second septic system?
Okay.
What's going on with utilities? We all check that.
So even in urban areas, they have people on septic?
Yeah, there's a lot of properties actually still on septic that are in urban areas, and that has its own challenges. But we do have a couple projects that we've been able to work with. They just need to have another septic system put in before we can do the lot split.
Interesting.
Unless, so if the property is vacant, aside from the one house, and they don't intend to build right away, you actually don't need to put the utilities in. So for your home, Athena, as is, you would not need to separate the utilities right away. You can postpone that until someone wants to pull a building permit for the new parcel. So that can be kind of postponed, which is nice.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, and then you'd have to deal with let's say you do it that way and later you decide to build. What would that process be? Then you do local permits, like that's a regular kind of process?
So what you would do is we do part of it in that we will go to your utility companies and we will ask them if they will serve the new parcel. So we just want to make sure that that's a possibility, because we aren't going to do a lot split for you if it doesn't yield a buildable parcel. So we want to take every step to make sure that, the utilities will be provided. So we go to them, we make sure they have the capacity to serve the new parcel. But then later on down the line, what you would do is you pretty much just pay the utility company a connecting fee. And depending on the layout of someone's property, they either need to build another, like a sewer main, they need to connect it to the new line, or they just need, a pipe to connect it to the parcel. And then for gas and electric, you just need separate meters.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's probably like I had to do at my building. You talk to Southern California Edison, they tell you if it's possible, then they come out and do a site inspection and decide if they're going to grant you that or if they're going to help you.
Typically, yeah. And it's very rare that they aren't going to grant you that. It's just a matter of money, right? Like if you're willing to pay. So yeah, that is about the utilities. And we'll go on to talk about the slope.
Okay.
So here's your lot. And for those people who aren't familiar with her lot, this area that's kind of brownish red is quite sloped. So this area with the house and the lawn is flat, and then it slopes downward in all directions from here. And it's a pretty steep area over there. So that's definitely something to consider. First off, something I mentioned before is the lot split needs to be either a 50-50 split or a 40-60 split.
Okay.
So we'd probably see the line going somewhere around here. Can you see my arrow?
Well, I see the blue dot going up and down, and the arrow is going the other way.
Yeah. So somewhere around there would be the, 50-50 or 40-60 split.
Okay.
So obviously your property is really unique in that you have this sloped area, which does add some challenges to building. So I went over your property with my dad. We talked about what the engineering would look like for this parcel to be constructed. Again, this isn't something that you would need to do for the lot split, but obviously you'd want to think about what would be required if you did want to do this for someone who's going to develop it. So with the slope, you could definitely do pilings, which are like the piers, to support the part of the house that is on the sloped area, so that you're able to actually take advantage of all this space over here that otherwise is completely unused.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys looked at the next street over, but the street that's to the left there and it curves around, all those homes on that side face, I guess that would be north, And they're all on pylons. Like
Oh, okay.
this neighborhood is full of hillside property, right? So
Yeah.
I'm probably one of the few, and my neighbor that you see to the right, that part of the street doesn't, but
Mhm.
everything else, the homes are like half on stilts all the way
Right.
to the street, right?
Okay, yeah. So you're already familiar with that and your neighborhood's familiar with that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that process, my dad's thought would probably be about 50K to do the pylons and the foundation for that. So that's a cost to factor in.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it makes this whole area accessible. And one of the cool things with SB9 is it reduces your side and rear setbacks to 4 feet, which means you can get really close. You can really maximize your building area.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, whether or not you decide to do this is dependent on a lot of things. But one
Yeah.
thing would be,
So people have to consider that. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say one thing to consider in your specific case is, are you willing to give up some of your side yard here that you have fenced in? And what would that do? Do you have a nice view out there that
Right.
would block? I'm curious about that.
Yeah, so if we were to do this, then the rooms that are on the side of the house would lose the view. Going out to the left is the ocean, and going out to the north or to the top there, that's the city. You can see the city and the ocean on one side, and then where we would be blocking it or building it, that's the ocean view side. So yeah, so the new home would have the ocean view. And then the remaining home, or the home that's there, that one would have the city ocean.
And another option, which is, you can think about, is burying the house a little bit. So if you actually build a retaining wall, which is kind of like a similar cost to the pylons,
Yeah.
you're doing kind of the same thing, but you're just submerging it. So then the parent house maintains the views. And I'm not sure about the height level of the lower house, but it could still have ocean views. So that's something to consider, is like staggering them in height.
Yeah, there's a new home across the street, and what they did is, well, it was supposed to be one home, and they started in 2018. So of course, 2021 was about halfway through their construction. So I think they apply, you don't have to notify the neighbors that you're doing this. So I don't know when it happened, but they basically did that. Their downstairs of their home became a second home. Now they didn't do a lot split, but yeah. So the top level of the home has the better view, and then but still the bottom, still has a good, but they dug into their lot.
Right.
But
Yeah.
my hillside is so high. I look over their rooftop. So, so I could go halfway down the hill and build a home, right? Like, so it's offset and not blocking the view.
Exactly. You just build a retaining wall, which would, probably be about the same cost as doing the pylons.
Mm-hmm.
And when you think about the value in your area, which we'll talk about in a few minutes, it's like, could definitely be worth it, depending on what your goals are.
Mm-hmm.
Another aspect to consider is access. So in order to do what we're talking about, you would probably want to get access off Via del Collado, which is easy enough to do. It looks really simple to get access from here. So this would be the front-facing property, same as your existing home. And then this would be side yard and rear yard.
Right.
Yeah, any questions about any of that?
Nope. I think that's pretty clear. So weren't you saying in our first chat that it's ideal to have a corner property, or a property that has two, say, entrance sides or two ways, maybe a alley to alley property, or something where there's, I guess, two entrances easily put together, right?
Yeah, because typically it means you have two different points of access. In your case, that doesn't really apply because the slope is so steep. But it's still awesome because it gives you the ocean view. But yeah, typically multiple points of access is desirable because it allows for more privacy and it feels like two separate lots already. So you're a real estate agent, right?
Uh, yeah, I'm a broker. Hmm.
Yeah, so you know more about real estate prices than I'm sure I do. But this is kind of my rough idea of what kind of value add you would get. So your current property is about 2.4 million. You're looking at adding about 600K
Hmm.
to get 3 million.
Oh,
And
sorry. So this is just splitting the lot. So this is not, you didn't estimate if you put another property of say 1,200 square feet.
this is not with the value added of a new property, or sorry, of a new building. This is simply just doing the lot split.
Hmm.
What kind of value that could create for you? What could you
Got it.
sell the
Okay.
lot out?
Hmm.
Yeah, have you thought about that much? I'm curious how this compares to your idea.
No, I haven't. I've never thought of splitting the lot and what would that land value be, you know?
So this is typically what we're seeing is like 25, there's a 25% increase in value.
Hmm.
That can vary quite a bit, but that's our estimate.
Hmm.
And then when you look at the costs, this is what's involved in the lot split alone. So this is everything that my company does for our clients. So we take care of the entire lot split process from the beginning until you own your second legal property, which you
Hmm.
can then sell as is, undeveloped. Or if you want, you can develop it yourself and sell it or rent anytime in the future. So we will, we'll do all the surveys, we'll prepare the parcel maps, do the drafting, engineering, and we will push your project through the planning department, which takes about a year and a half, with a lot of back and forth with the planning department. Super
Hmm.
fun.
Yeah.
And biological assessments and everything you see here. So
And have you done any in Torrance or Gardena or like this South Bay area? Do you know?
don't believe we have any in Torrance yet, actually. Yeah, you'd be our first.
And I'm thinking it's people with bigger lots. Like there are some areas around here. We call this the South. I know you guys have your South Bay, but we call this area the South Bay. So it's like Torrance, Manhattan Beach, Redondo Beach,
Oh,
Lawndale, Palos Verdes, so there's areas around here where, like Gardena, that's another city around here. It
hmm.
was, their city plans. I don't know. They have some parts of the city have very big lots, like 10,000. Lomita, they have some 10,000, I guess, because it was kind of farming
Oh,
originally.
interesting.
They've got still some big lots over there.
You said Lomita, and
Lomita, which is next door to Torrance. And
interesting.
it's a small town. I want to say it's 2 miles square, but they've got some lots that are like 10, 12,000 square feet,
Wow,
flat ones. And then
awesome.
there's parts of Old Torrance where I have clients that specifically look over there because they've got big trailers, they have a lot of vehicles, so they want that big lot. But that would be anyone who owns that kind of lot should look into this, right?
Definitely. Yeah, that'd be ideal.
I can't believe you guys, for people who can't see this list is unbelievable. So you guys get all this topographic survey, boundary survey, drafting of tentative parcel map, final parcel, preparation affidavit, okay. Putting the applicant, biological assessment and report, wetland assessment and report, utility letter. So what's a utility letter? Is that talking to the
That's,
utility company and getting their,
yeah,
okay.
exactly. That's what I was referring to get what's called a will serve letter for the new
Uh,
park.
okay. Final parcel map checking, drainage plan, improvement plan, assessor fee, tax collector fee. What's the tax collector fee?
So this is just a fee that the tax collector asks for to create a new parcel. And we pay for all the fees up front. And I guess something I'll mention right now about the taxes, because
Mm-hmm.
people are probably wondering, will my taxes go up with this? And Short answer is not much. So your lot split does not trigger a reassessment of value, which is really good news because you're creating significant value, but you're not getting taxed on that added value.
And is that because there's no improvement being built? Like once you build a building, then you're going to get reassessed.
The whole property won't get reassessed, but just you'll be taxed on the
New part.
improvement of the building. The
Okay.
whole reassessment happens only when you sell a parcel. And then your property taxes would actually go down because you're reducing the area of land that you own. The only increase in taxes with the lot split is what's called a per parcel tax, which is pretty minimal. It's somewhere between $200 and $1,000 a year. And that's just regardless of the size of the parcel, everyone pays that.
Okay. Okay, title company map processing fee. What is that?
That again is a fee we pay to the title company for just processing the new parcel map.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Then the recording fee. Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
And so
so this brings up a bit. So it says preparation of easement agreements. So some people may have to go to their neighbor maybe and get an easement to go through their property, or
yes, that's not really what we're referring to here though. This is more so, let's imagine your new property was behind the existing property and didn't really have its own access. It had to go through the parent property.
Okay.
So we will draw up and create an easement which allows, both parcels to have access of that roadway. Or you can create exclusive use easements, which means if you wanted 10 feet of space of your green lawn, that's yours. And even if it's technically on their land, you can create an exclusive use easement, which means that you define exactly how the land can be used. And maybe it's just privately used by you, if that makes sense.
Okay. Thanks for clarifying that. That's good.
Of course. And so this price can vary project to project, but what doesn't change with working with us is we pay for everything up front. We do all the work. We do not ask for any deposit or payment. We collect payment at the very end if and when we're successful. So if we do not get approval after all this work, and the city or the county says, nope, we don't like this, or you have to do this, and then our client does not pay. So that's something very unique about our company is that we assure that if you're paying for it, you're going to actually have, the property at the end of the day.
Right. So I guess because you're so certain about your vetting process or your qualifying process that you're pretty sure it's going to go through if you start, right? Because you've got your money at risk.
Yes, and I would say about 25% of our projects actually don't get approved, unfortunately. It's really high, but there's just some things you can't predict. It's a pretty risky process. So we just take on that risk rather than asking our clients to pay for out of pocket. Whereas, if they do this themselves or hire another engineering company, they're going to be paying out of pocket for all of these without any
all the way through, and then maybe it goes nowhere, right? That's the thing people don't like, or that, because this is cost prohibitive for a lot of people, right? So
totally. Yeah. So we just want to make it as no brainer as possible. Like, oh, of course, this makes sense.
So what kind of things have stopped your projects in the past?
Yeah, it's a good question. We have one project that was stopped due to a discrepancy of defining a zoning or a general land use definition. So there's like a hillside overlay, which is not supposed to impact SB9, but the city said that essentially it was just like the SB9 law is too vague to define whether this one thing should determine whether or not it's applicable. And so the city interpreted it one way, and they're disregarding the fact that it is actually single family residential zoning, which should be eligible. So like zoning and general use plans, that was one of our issues. Another one, there is a what's it called? A open easement or something like that on the property. So there's actually no place to build. Once we pulled the title report, we saw that this easement was covering pretty much the entire property.
Oh,
So that
no.
there's no point in doing the lot split.
What kind of easement was it? Not a utility easement. It was like
Open space easement. So it's kind of
oh,
for nature, I guess.
right, where you promised to keep it uncluttered or whatever.
Exactly. Then some people have CCNRs, which is like a private agreement in a neighborhood,
Uh-huh.
which we will find out also early in the process. So that's not too big of a deal. Another one did have a certain species of oak, which was critical habitat. So that one didn't go through.
So the tree was a habitat for something that they were protecting. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, was a
Okay.
sensitive
So you
area.
can't take the house away of the birdie that's rare or whatever,
Exactly. So
or the
those are
squirrel.
some of, yeah, those are some of the reasons
Okay.
through.
Yeah, those are kind of like non-starters, right? When you bump into something like that, it's like, oh, you promised to keep it empty. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So this is my rough idea of your costs and your gain.
Mhm.
So looking at your current property value, 2.4, and then you subtract the SB9 lot split, about 59,000, the pilings or the retaining wall, if you were to do the development yourself, you're looking at like 50,000. And this is just like a starter cost, right? To get
Right.
to sell a developed or developable lot. To get utilities, 10,000, and then adding value of about $600,000 for the parcel itself.
Hmm.
Uh, this isn't the most accurate calculation because I'm kind of calculating half of the development, not the entire building. So it's kind of weird math. But I just wanted to show that even when you pay for the pilings and or retaining wall and utilities, you're still looking at about a $480,000 increase in your property value or in your net gain from doing this project.
But I think if you're doubting, some people might think that the NIMBYs are gonna, there's like pushback anti SB9 group, we'll call it, right?
Mhm.
So if they gain traction and they get this reversed, it would be better if you had started this, even if you have no plans of development. If you're like a gambling person, you say, oh, they might take this ability to do this away. I might as well start it, even if visually no one can tell you split your lot till you build something, right? So, but at least it would be there and be potential for the future instead of like they take it away and you go, oh, I should have done that, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Once you have your new property, it can't be taken away from you, even if the law changes. So if
Right,
you
because
want
it's
to put
already a registered official, you know, a separate APN, everything, right? It's a separate property once you go through this, right?
exactly, it's created legally, and so yeah, once you have it, it can't be taken away from you, and that's why we tell people if you do want to capitalize on the new law, you do want to create another property, like time is of the essence, just because
Yep.
we don't know. This law could get strengthened over time. It could get taken away.
Or
It's,
weakened, right?
yeah. So it's hard to know. Time is of the essence.
Right.
This is just a case study of a project we did in Sonoma, which added $1 million to. We thought the property was going to be worth like $400,000, and the realtor was like, "Well, I think that's worth $1 million," so they put it on the market for that.
Wow. Just the lot, or was there a property there?
No, just the vacant lot.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's definitely a lot of exciting potential here, especially in
Mhm.
valuable places like where you live in Torrance and Ocean View. It's people want to live in California,
Yeah. Despite our challenges.
right? So some aspects of working with us that I'll share, I already mentioned the 100% guarantee. When I say that, I don't mean we guarantee success, but if we're not successful, you don't pay us for our work or what we paid for your project. That really sets us apart. We have over 45 plus years of experience in civil engineering, and we are the most experienced firm in all of California for these lot splits. So we have the best chance of getting them completed. And
How many have you completed in that 16.5 million? Do you know how many that properties that is?
yeah, about 25.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you have 80 in the pipeline right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of makes sense because it's fairly new, right? So in the beginning, you only had a couple of people and it starts building and
Right.
makes sense.
Yeah, and we're really committed to honesty and transparency and clear communication throughout the process. We're really good about providing our clients with monthly updates on what's going on with their project. And we just want to make the process as easy and simple for our clients as possible. So pretty much when clients commit to working with us, we take it from there. We do the entire process ourselves. We know people are busy. So we do the entire process and don't bug our clients too much except for updates and always answering questions whenever they need.
And you may need paperwork or you may need signatures once in a while, I would assume.
Yeah, at the beginning when we're preparing the application documents and affidavit, that's pretty much all our clients have to do. Sign some papers.
Okay. That's pretty cool.
Here are some testimonials from our clients. They've been very pleased, which you can find all of this on our website.
Okay.
And that's about all I have for today. So thank you for listening. And shall I share my website or email here?
Yeah, we should talk it into the video in case people are listening on the podcast.
Okay. Yeah, so our website is RichersEngineering.com, and you spell Riechers, Riechers. So that's RichersEngineering.com. And if you want to discuss your property, you can email me at Gloria, Gloria, at RichersEngineering.com.
So what is the smallest lot that you've split so far? Like I was hearing that it could be 2,500 square feet. It could be like, I guess it's a proportionality, right? Oh, you're taking this. I was like, where'd you go? So it's a proportionality thing, but I've heard that there are very small lots that can be divided.
Yeah, looking at your lot, because I'm not sure on the exact square footage, but I think we've done lots that are probably half the size of yours or maybe even a little bit smaller.
So if it's 6,000 square foot lot, and let's say there's a 1,500 square foot home on there, there should be enough room to do that 60-40. Right. So the original, you call it the parent home, the original home is the 60% or is the new home the 60%?
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Either one can be. It just kind of depends on where that home is situated on the property. Obviously, if it's smack dab in the middle, it can make it a little trickier, especially if it's a small parcel. But if it's a big parcel, we can typically work around it. Yeah.
And then how close to the original home can you come with the property line? Because I'm thinking you might have to do like a ziggy-zaggy once in a while, right?
You actually can be on the lot line. Like the home can be on the lot line. So it can be a 0 lot line.
Oh, wow. Kind of like a duplex. You know.
Yeah, you just have to, when you do that, there's sometimes restrictions or a requirement for a firewall to make sure it's fireproof between the two lots.
Between the two, yeah, right. Yeah, because I'm thinking if you don't have enough room, you could probably build right up against that first home.
Yeah.
And that's what they do with condo. You know, around here we have a lot, what we call 2 on a lot. It's like parcels where they created 2 condos, right? Because of the space of the lot. Back in the 80s and early 90s, they did this. Yeah.
Huh.
If they were getting around the building, the lot size and the setback. They're like, oh, we could just do a two condo association.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I'm curious what your impressions are, if you have any questions specific to your property.
Yeah, not really. I guess I would have to talk to someone about because the 50,000 for pylons, maybe a retaining wall. I don't know. Many neighbors have told me it's more like 100,000. So, but still. And then I have the neighbor as a example that where that the main it's one big new construction, but the main house we'll call it is upstairs, and then the ADU, the second unit is downstairs, right? Um, so I could do that here, and I never thought of doing that because the biggest impediment to doing an ADU or lots, I never thought of lot splitting, but is it will block the view. So I was thinking, oh, well, if the new home was offset a bit further to the front, you saw that patch of grass, that's basically our front lawn. And that's got a slope, but it's not as bad, obviously, as the big slope all around the property. But that front lawn, the house could be, the second home could be started closer to the street. And then that way it's not blocking this view as much, right? So
As long as we're abiding by the front yard setbacks.
and how far is that? Just
I'm
4 feet or
sure,
the
but if you look at Google Maps, you could probably see where most of the houses are lined up, probably on the front yard setback.
Okay, got it.
Mm-hmm. You have to look at your zoning code though to see what that is.
Yeah, because that edge of the lot actually juts out, and there's a fire hydrant at the bottom. So, my lot's kind of a weird wedgy thing in the front, and then it's a very weird, shaped lot.
Property.
Yeah, it's big. It's big, but it's downhill.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's interesting. So what else was I thinking? I guess that's mainly it. Is the view part, because if I block the view of this house, I've diminished its value a lot, right? So you have to, not that I'm planning to go anywhere, but
Mm-hmm. No, it's a big thing to consider though. You don't want to do it in a smart way that's not heavily
really think it out. Yeah. And not so complicated, because complicated usually means you've driven up your cost of construction, right? If you do something quirky, then the contractor's like, oh, okay.
Right.
But I try and point out to people that your cost of construction, even if it's 400 per square foot, right? The value of the properties around here is at least 1,000 a square foot.
Right.
Right. So if you look at it that way, I mean, you did it well, how you outlined it, but when I look at that, I put in $400 and I got out 1,000. So I made 600. Right.
That's positive math.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Look good.
Yeah. And then in there, do you do a soils report, things like that for construction, or is that more people should do that with a contractor first to see if the soil will support,
That's a good question. That's typically not required for the lot split. We've only had one of those out of all of our 80 projects.
Okay.
So yeah, there's a slight chance that'll be a part of it, but quite rare.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So probably I would recommend, if anyone's questioning their soil, we have a lot of different kinds of soil around here. So, if you're planning to do construction, maybe check to see whether that's going to be an impediment before you split the lot. Or maybe you don't care and you split the lot. Huh?
Is your soil pretty sandy?
Mine is very sandy. Very sandy. And then a mile down the street, it's very clay-like. So they have a lot of foundation cracking, foundations that, because of the expansion and contraction of the clay. So yeah, there's a lot of different, it's weird. There's a lot of different types of soil right here in this area, in this, yeah.
And another last thing I'll put out there is that you could theoretically do the lot split, sell the property with some outlines saying that people couldn't build, in a way that blocks your view in case you didn't want to take on.
Like a deed restriction, you could put in a deed restriction maybe?
So yeah, if you didn't want to put in the cost or money to do the development yourself, You
Mm-hmm.
can't sell the raw land and all you're paying for is the lot split. And then
Mm-hmm.
you can get a deed restriction, and somebody who has the time, energy, and money and desire can then come and develop it in a way that meets your needs as the
Right.
neighbor.
Right. Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, just restrict it.
Mhm.
Wow, this is fascinating. So if someone wants to get a hold of you, we did give out it's Gloria at Riechers Engineering. And then what's your phone number again?
707-307-3061.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much, Gloria, for joining me and for this great example. And yeah, it's something we might consider in the future, but I think definitely people who may not have a view thing or have a nice flat lot, this is like unbelievable, a good opportunity.
Yeah, thank you so much for taking the time to explore it with me. And
Yeah, super
you
fun. And
or anyone else out
thank
there.
your partner.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and you and anyone who's listening, welcome to reach out in the future with any questions, and happy to explore it with you.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Gloria. Have a great
Thank you,
rest of your
Tina.
week.
Yeah,
Bye.
have a great day. Bye.
Bye-bye.